Officer Jake Morrison walked through the empty halls of the new Terra Colony courthouse with his partner Rex by his side. The German Shepherd looked normal to most people, but Jake knew better. Rex had special parts inside his body that made him different from regular dogs. These cybernetic implants helped Rex smell things and hear things that no human could detect. The courthouse was supposed to be empty today. No trials were scheduled, and all the judges had gone home hours ago. Rex stopped walking and turned his head toward the main courtroom. His ears stood up straight and he made a low whining sound. Jake looked at where Rex was staring but saw nothing unusual. The hallway looked the same as always with its clean white walls and bright lights, but Rex kept staring at Courtroom 7 like something was calling to him. "What is it, boy?" Jake asked softly. He had learned to trust Rex over the past 3 years they had worked together. The dog had never been wrong when something felt off to him. Rex walked closer to the courtroom door and started scratching at it with his front paws. His cybernetic sensors were blinking with small blue lights under his fur. This only happened when Rex detected something important. Jake pulled out his scanner and checked the readings around the door. Everything looked normal on his device, but Rex was getting more upset by the minute. The dog started pacing back and forth in front of the door. His breathing became faster and he kept looking up at Jake like he was trying to tell him something urgent. The cybernetic implants in Rex were designed by the best scientists on New Terra. They could pick up chemical traces that were days old. They could hear sounds that human ears would never catch. Most importantly, they could detect alien biochemical signatures. This was crucial because humans were not alone in this part of the galaxy. Several alien species lived on nearby planets, and some of them were not friendly to human colonies. Rex sat down in front of the courtroom door and barked once. It was a sharp, commanding bark that Jake recognized. This was Rex telling him that something was definitely wrong inside that room. Jake looked around the empty courthouse and made a decision. Even though it was against protocol to enter a courtroom without permission, he trusted his partner completely. Jake used his security card to unlock the door. The moment it opened, Rex rushed inside like he had been waiting for this chance all day. The courtroom was dark except for the emergency lights that cast long shadows across the empty seats. Rex ran straight to the front of the room where the judge normally sat during trials. The dog circled around the large wooden bench that dominated the front of the courtroom. His nose was close to the ground and he was sniffing intensely. The blue lights under his fur were blinking faster now. Jake had never seen Rex act this way before. The dog seemed almost frantic as he moved around the judge's bench. Jake turned on his flashlight and followed Rex. The courtroom looked exactly like it should. Rows of wooden seats faced the front where the judge's bench sat on a raised platform. The witness stand was empty and the jury box was clean. Nothing seemed out of place, but Rex was telling him otherwise. Rex stopped at one specific spot near the left side of the judge's bench. He sat down and barked again. Then he started pawing at the floor like he was trying to dig through it. His cybernetic sensors were now glowing brightly enough that Jake could see them clearly through his fur. Whatever Rex was detecting was strongest right at this spot. Jake knelt down next to his partner and examined the floor. It looked like normal courthouse flooring, smooth and polished with no visible scratches or marks. But when he ran his hand over the area where Rex was focused, he felt something different. The surface felt slightly warm compared to the rest of the floor. Rex whined and looked up at Jake with intelligent brown eyes. The dog's cybernetic implants allowed him to process information in ways that regular dogs could not. He understood that Jake needed more proof before he would take action. Rex placed his paw on the warm spot and barked softly. Jake pulled out his thermal scanner and pointed it at the floor. The reading showed that the area under Rex's paw was definitely warmer than it should be. Something was generating heat beneath the courthouse floor. This was not normal, and it explained why Rex was so agitated. The officer looked around the courtroom again with new eyes. If something was hidden under the judge's bench, it would be the perfect place. Who would think to look there? Judges were respected members of society, and their courtrooms were considered sacred spaces where justice was served. Rex moved to another spot near the bench and started the same behavior, sniffing intensely and pawing at the floor. This time, Jake immediately checked with his thermal scanner. Again, the readings showed unusual heat signatures. Whatever was down there was bigger than just one small device. Jake realized that Rex's enhanced senses were picking up something that all the courthouse security systems had missed. The building was scanned regularly for dangerous items and unauthorized technology. but those scans were designed to detect human weapons and human technology. They might not catch alien devices that worked differently. The thought made Jake's blood run cold. If aliens had somehow placed technology inside the courthouse, it could mean many things. None of them were good for the human colony. This building was where important legal decisions were made. Cases about land rights mining claims and colony expansion were decided here. If someone was influencing those decisions from the outside, it could destroy everything humans had built on New Terra. Rex barked again and looked directly into Jake's eyes. The message was clear. They had found something important and dangerous. Now it was up to Jake to decide what to do about it. The dog's cybernetic implants had detected what human technology could not. The question was whether Jake was brave enough to find out what was really hidden under the judge's bench. Jake made his decision. He would trust Rex completely and investigate further. Whatever they found would change everything about how humans understood the security of their most important buildings. Jake knew he was breaking several rules by staying in the courtroom without permission, but Rex had never led him wrong before. The dog was now moving systematically around the judge's bench like he was mapping something invisible. His cybernetic sensors continued to blink with increasing frequency as he got closer to certain areas. Jake called his supervisor, Captain Lisa Brooks, on his secure communication device. He needed to report what they had found, but he also needed backup if this turned out to be something dangerous. The call connected after 2 rings and Lisa's voice came through clearly. "Morrison, what are you doing at the courthouse this late?" Lisa asked. She sounded tired but alert. Good supervisors always paid attention when their officers called during off hours. "Captain, we have a situation here. Rex detected something unusual in Courtroom 7, and I think you need to see this," Jake said carefully. He did not want to sound crazy, but he also needed Lisa to take this seriously. "What kind of unusual?" Lisa asked. Jake could hear her moving around and knew she was probably getting dressed to come to the courthouse. Heat signatures under the judge's bench that should not be there. "Rex's cybernetic sensors are going crazy, and I have never seen him act this way before," Jake explained while watching Rex continue his investigation. There was silence on the other end for a moment. Lisa was thinking, and Jake knew she was weighing the options. False alarms were embarrassing, but missing real threats was deadly. On a colony world like New Terra, they could not afford to ignore potential security breaches. "Stay exactly where you are and do not touch anything else. I am bringing a full investigation team and we will be there in 20 minutes, Lisa said firmly. "And Morrison, this better not be your dog chasing mice under the floorboards." Jake almost smiled at that comment, but Rex's behavior was far too serious for mice. The dog had moved to the back corner of the judge's bench and was now scratching at the floor with both front paws. His cybernetic implants were glowing so brightly that they looked like small blue stars under his dark fur. While they waited for the investigation team, Jake decided to do more scanning of the area. His handheld device was not as sophisticated as the equipment the specialist would bring, but it might give them some preliminary information. He slowly moved the scanner around the entire judge's bench area. The thermal readings were definitely abnormal. There was a pattern of heat sources under the floor that formed what looked like a network. Whatever was down there was connected and it was active. Jake realized that if this was alien technology, it might be transmitting information right now while they stood there. Rex suddenly stopped scratching and sat perfectly still. His head was tilted like he was listening to something that Jake could not hear. The dog's enhanced hearing could pick up electronic signals and convert them into sounds. If Rex was hearing something, it meant whatever was under the floor was definitely working. Jake knelt down and put his ear close to the floor where Rex had been digging. At first he heard nothing, but then he caught it. A very faint humming sound that seemed to pulse in a regular pattern. It was so quiet that without Rex pointing out the exact location, he never would have noticed it. The courthouse doors opened and Jake heard multiple footsteps in the hallway. Lisa had brought the full team as promised. Jake stood up and called out to identify himself so they would know where to find him. Rex remained sitting in his alert position, but his tail wagged once when he heard Lisa's voice. Captain Lisa Brooks entered the courtroom, followed by 3 specialists carrying equipment cases. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. Behind her came Tony Garcia, the electronics expert, Sam Rodriguez, the structural engineer, and Dr. Amy Foster, who specialized in xenobiology and alien technology. "Show me what you have found," Lisa said without wasting time on small talk. Jake led the team to where Rex was sitting and explained everything that had happened since they first entered the courtroom. Tony immediately began setting up his advanced scanning equipment, while Sam examined the floor structure. Dr. Foster watched Rex carefully and asked Jake detailed questions about the dog's behavior and the specific reactions of his cybernetic implants. "This is definitely not normal courthouse electronics," Tony announced after running his first scans. "I am reading multiple active devices in a configuration that does not match any human technology in our databases." Sam had found the exact spot where Rex had been scratching and was examining it with a magnifying device. "The floor here has been modified. Someone cut through the original structure and installed something underneath. The work is very professional and almost impossible to detect without knowing exactly where to look." Dr. Foster was most interested in Rex's continuing reactions. The dog had not moved from his sitting position, but his sensors were still active and his ears remained alert. "Officer Morrison, I need you to walk Rex around the entire courtroom. I want to see if he detects anything else." Jake gave Rex the command to search, and the dog immediately began working the room systematically. He checked every corner, every seat, and every surface that he could reach. When he got to the jury box area, his sensors started blinking again, but not as intensely as near the judge's bench. "We have secondary signals over here," Jake called out. Tony brought his equipment to the jury area and confirmed that there were additional devices hidden in that location as well. Lisa was coordinating the investigation and making notes on her tablet. "This is looking more and more like a sophisticated surveillance operation. The question is who installed this equipment and what they are monitoring." Dr. Foster had been running tests on air samples from around the hidden devices. Her equipment was designed to detect alien biochemical signatures that might have been left behind by non-human visitors. When her results came back, her face went pale. "Captain, we have a problem. I am detecting alien pheromone traces around both device locations. Based on the chemical composition, I believe these are from Zephyrian sources," Dr. Foster announced. The room went quiet. Everyone knew about the Zephyrians. They were an advanced alien species that controlled several star systems near human colony space. Relations with them were tense, and there had been rumors of territorial disputes over some of the newer human settlements. "Are you certain about this identification?" Lisa asked Dr. Foster. "The chemical markers are very specific. Zephyrians have a unique biochemical signature that my equipment can identify with 97% accuracy. These traces are recent, probably within the last few days," Dr. Foster confirmed. Jake looked down at Rex, who was still sitting calmly but alert. The dog's cybernetic implants had detected something that could threaten the entire human colony on New Terra. Without Rex's enhanced senses, they might never have discovered this infiltration until it was too late. Tony had continued his scans and was now looking very concerned. "Captain, I think we need to consider the possibility that these devices are not just for surveillance. The power levels and signal patterns suggest they might be capable of transmitting commands or instructions to someone." Lisa made a decision quickly. "We need to open this floor and see exactly what we are dealing with. Sam, do you have the tools to safely expose these devices without damaging them?" "Yes, Captain. But if they are actively transmitting, we might alert whoever is monitoring them that we have discovered their operation," Sam warned. Lisa looked around at her team and then at Jake and Rex. "We have to take that risk. If Zephyrians are running surveillance operations inside our courthouse, we need to know the full extent immediately." Jake knew he was breaking several rules by staying in the courtroom without permission, but Rex had never led him wrong before. The dog was now moving systematically around the judge's bench like he was mapping something invisible. His cybernetic sensors continued to blink with increasing frequency as he got closer to certain areas. Jake called his supervisor, Captain Lisa Brooks, on his secure communication device. He needed to report what they had found, but he also needed backup if this turned out to be something dangerous. The call connected after 2 rings and Lisa's voice came through clearly. "Morrison, what are you doing at the courthouse this late?" Lisa asked. She sounded tired but alert. Good supervisors always paid attention when their officers called during off hours. "Captain, we have a situation here. Rex detected something unusual in courtroom 7, and I think you need to see this," Jake said carefully. He did not want to sound crazy, but he also needed Lisa to take this seriously. "What kind of unusual?" Lisa asked. Jake could hear her moving around and knew she was probably getting dressed to come to the courthouse. Heat signatures under the judge's bench that should not be there. Rex's cybernetic sensors are going crazy and I have never seen him act this way before, Jake explained while watching Rex continue his investigation. There was silence on the other end for a moment. Lisa was thinking and Jake knew she was weighing the options. False alarms were embarrassing, but missing real threats was deadly. On a colony world like New Terra, they could not afford to ignore potential security breaches. Stay exactly where you are and do not touch anything else. I am bringing a full investigation team and we will be there in 20 minutes, Lisa said firmly. And Morrison, this better not be your dog chasing mice under the floorboards. Jake almost smiled at that comment, but Rex's behavior was far too serious for mice. The dog had moved to the back corner of the judge's bench and was now scratching at the floor with both front paws. His cybernetic implants were glowing so brightly that they looked like small blue stars under his dark fur. While they waited for the investigation team, Jake decided to do more scanning of the area. His handheld device was not as sophisticated as the equipment the specialist would bring, but it might give them some preliminary information. He slowly moved the scanner around the entire judge's bench area. The thermal readings were definitely abnormal. There was a pattern of heat sources under the floor that formed what looked like a network. Whatever was down there was connected and it was active. Jake realized that if this was alien technology, it might be transmitting information right now while they stood there. Rex suddenly stopped scratching and sat perfectly still. His head was tilted like he was listening to something that Jake could not hear. The dog's enhanced hearing could pick up electronic signals and convert them into sounds. If Rex was hearing something, it meant whatever was under the floor was definitely working. Jake knelt down and put his ear close to the floor where Rex had been digging. At first he heard nothing, but then he caught it. A very faint humming sound that seemed to pulse in a regular pattern. It was so quiet that without Rex pointing out the exact location, he never would have noticed it. The courthouse doors opened and Jake heard multiple footsteps in the hallway. Lisa had brought the full team as promised. Jake stood up and called out to identify himself so they would know where to find him. Rex remained sitting in his alert position, but his tail wagged once when he heard Lisa's voice. Captain Lisa Brooks entered the courtroom, followed by 3 specialists carrying equipment cases. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. Behind her came Tony Garcia, the electronics expert, Sam Rodriguez, the structural engineer, and Dr. Amy Foster, who specialized in xenobiology and alien technology. "Show me what you have found," Lisa said without wasting time on small talk. Jake led the team to where Rex was sitting and explained everything that had happened since they first entered the courtroom. Tony immediately began setting up his advanced scanning equipment, while Sam examined the floor structure. Dr. Foster watched Rex carefully and asked Jake detailed questions about the dog's behavior and the specific reactions of his cybernetic implants. "This is definitely not normal courthouse electronics," Tony announced after running his first scans. "I am reading multiple active devices in a configuration that does not match any human technology in our databases." Sam had found the exact spot where Rex had been scratching and was examining it with a magnifying device. "The floor here has been modified. Someone cut through the original structure and installed something underneath. The work is very professional and almost impossible to detect without knowing exactly where to look." Dr. Foster was most interested in Rex's continuing reactions. The dog had not moved from his sitting position, but his sensors were still active and his ears remained alert. "Officer Morrison, I need you to walk Rex around the entire courtroom. I want to see if he detects anything else." Jake gave Rex the command to search, and the dog immediately began working the room systematically. He checked every corner, every seat, and every surface that he could reach. When he got to the jury box area, his sensors started blinking again, but not as intensely as near the judge's bench. "We have secondary signals over here," Jake called out. Tony brought his equipment to the jury area and confirmed that there were additional devices hidden in that location as well. Lisa was coordinating the investigation and making notes on her tablet. "This is looking more and more like a sophisticated surveillance operation. The question is who installed this equipment and what they are monitoring." Dr. Foster had been running tests on air samples from around the hidden devices. Her equipment was designed to detect alien biochemical signatures that might have been left behind by non-human visitors. When her results came back, her face went pale. "Captain, we have a problem. I am detecting alien pheromone traces around both device locations. Based on the chemical composition, I believe these are from Zephyrian sources." Dr. Foster announced. The room went quiet. Everyone knew about the Zephyrians. They were an advanced alien species that controlled several star systems near human colony space. Relations with them were tense, and there had been rumors of territorial disputes over some of the newer human settlements. Are you certain about this identification? Lisa asked Dr. Foster. The chemical markers are very specific. Zephyrians have a unique biochemical signature that my equipment can identify with 97% accuracy. These traces are recent, probably within the last few days, Dr. Foster confirmed. Jake looked down at Rex, who was still sitting calmly but alert. The dog's cybernetic implants had detected something that could threaten the entire human colony on New Terra. Without Rex's enhanced senses, they might never have discovered this infiltration until it was too late. Tony had continued his scans and was now looking very concerned. Captain, I think we need to consider the possibility that these devices are not just for surveillance. The power levels and signal patterns suggest they might be capable of transmitting commands or instructions to someone. Lisa made a decision quickly. We need to open this floor and see exactly what we are dealing with. Sam, do you have the tools to safely expose these devices without damaging them? Yes, Captain. But if they are actively transmitting, we might alert whoever is monitoring them that we have discovered their operation, Sam warned. Lisa looked around at her team and then at Jake and Rex. We have to take that risk. If Zephyrians are running surveillance operations inside our courthouse, we need to know the full extent immediately. Sam Rodriguez carefully removed a section of the courthouse floor where Rex had been digging. The work took nearly an hour because they had to be extremely careful not to damage whatever was hidden underneath. As Sam lifted away the final piece of flooring, everyone in the room stared in amazement at what was revealed. The device was unlike anything any of them had ever seen. It looked like a collection of crystal formations that had been arranged in a complex geometric pattern. The crystals were translucent with a blue tint, and they pulsed with internal light in a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. The entire assembly was about the size of a dinner plate and appeared to be growing out of some kind of metallic base. This is definitely not human technology, Dr. Foster said as she began taking detailed photographs and measurements. The crystalline structure is completely foreign to our manufacturing methods. I have never seen anything like this in any of our xenobiology databases. Tony was scanning the device with every piece of equipment he had brought. The energy readings are off the charts. This thing is definitely transmitting something, but the signal is using frequencies that our normal communication systems cannot detect. It is like it is operating on a completely different spectrum. Jake watched Rex, who was still sitting nearby but had relaxed slightly now that the device was exposed. The dog seemed satisfied that the humans had finally found what he had been trying to show them. His cybernetic sensors were still blinking, but at a much slower rate than before. Captain Lisa Brooks was already on her communication device calling for additional specialists and security teams. We need the full xenobiology unit here immediately, and I want a communications expert who specializes in alien technology. Also send a security perimeter around the entire courthouse building. Dr. Foster was using specialized tools to take samples of the air around the crystalline device. The Zephyrian biochemical signatures are much stronger here. This device has definitely been handled by Zephyrian entities within the last few days. I would estimate that someone was here no more than 72 hours ago. Sam had moved to the jury box area where Rex had detected the secondary signals. Captain, I think you need to see this. There is another access panel here, and it looks like it has been used recently. He carefully opened the panel to reveal a second device similar to the first but smaller in size. The second device was also made of the same crystalline material, but it was arranged in a different pattern. Instead of pulsing with blue light, this one showed flashes of green and yellow. Tony immediately began scanning it while Dr. Foster collected more biochemical samples. This one seems to be receiving rather than transmitting, Tony announced after studying his readings. It looks like we have found a communication system. One device sends information and the other receives responses or instructions. Jake was beginning to understand the implications of what they had discovered. Captain, if someone has been using these devices to communicate with Zephyrians, they could have been sharing information about courthouse activities. They would know about every trial, every legal decision, and every case that comes through this building. Lisa nodded grimly. That kind of information would be extremely valuable to an alien species that wants to understand how human legal systems work. They could use it to predict our responses to territorial disputes or to find weaknesses in our legal protections. Dr. Foster had finished her initial analysis of both devices. Based on the biochemical evidence, I believe these devices have been accessed regularly over the past several weeks. The concentration of Zephyrian markers suggests that someone has been meeting with Zephyrian representatives in this very courtroom. But that is impossible, Sam said. This building has security systems that would detect any unauthorized aliens entering the premises. How could Zephyrians get inside without being noticed? Tony looked up from his equipment with a troubled expression. Actually, it might not be impossible. If they have cloaking technology that operates on different energy frequencies than our sensors are designed to detect, they could walk right past our security systems without triggering any alarms. Jake remembered Rex's earlier behavior and realized something important. Rex detected them even when our technology could not. His cybernetic implants work differently than our standard sensors. They are designed to pick up biological and biochemical signatures, not just electronic ones. Dr. Foster was excited by this observation. That is exactly right. Dog senses combined with cybernetic enhancement create a detection system that is completely different from anything we normally use. Rex was able to identify alien presence that our security systems missed entirely. Lisa was making rapid decisions about their next steps. We need to review all security footage from the past month and cross-reference it with the biochemical timeline that Dr. Foster is developing. If aliens have been meeting with humans in this building, we need to identify who was involved. Captain, there is something else, Tony said hesitantly. These devices are still active and they appear to be recording our conversation right now. Whatever we say here might be transmitted directly to Zephyrian receivers. The room went silent as everyone realized they might have already revealed too much information about their discovery. Lisa quickly motioned for everyone to move away from the devices and gather near the courtroom entrance. From now on, we conduct all discussions about this investigation outside the range of those devices, Lisa whispered. Tony, I want you to set up signal blocking equipment around both devices. Immediately, Dr. Foster, continue your analysis, but assume that everything you do is being monitored. Jake looked back at the exposed crystalline devices and felt a chill run down his spine. If Zephyrians had been operating inside the courthouse for weeks or months, they could have gathered enough information to seriously damage human interests in this sector of space. Legal decisions made in this building affected mining rights, territorial claims, and trade agreements across multiple colony worlds. Rex seemed to sense Jake's concern and moved closer to his partner. The dog's cybernetic implants had stopped blinking completely, now that the threat was exposed and being addressed. But Jake knew this was just the beginning of a much larger investigation. Dr. Foster approached Lisa with her preliminary report. Captain, based on the device configuration and the biochemical evidence, I believe we are looking at a sophisticated intelligence-gathering operation. Someone with access to this courtroom has been providing Zephyrians with detailed information about human legal proceedings. Do we have any idea who that someone might be? Lisa asked. The access pattern suggests that the devices were used during regular courthouse hours when the building would normally be occupied. This was not a nighttime infiltration. Someone was meeting with Zephyrians during normal business hours when they would not be noticed, Dr. Foster explained. Sam had been examining the structural modifications more carefully. The installation work was done by someone with detailed knowledge of courthouse construction. They knew exactly where to place these devices for maximum effectiveness and minimum detection risk. This was planned by someone who understands this building very well. Tony finished setting up his signal blocking equipment and confirmed that the devices were no longer able to transmit. We can safely discuss the investigation now, but we need to assume that Zephyrian controllers already know their communication system has been compromised. Lisa gathered her team together and looked at each of them seriously. What we have discovered here tonight could affect the security of every human colony in this sector. We need to move fast, and we need to be very careful about who we trust with this information. Until we know who has been collaborating with the Zephyrians, we cannot rule out anyone who has regular access to this courthouse. Jake realized that included judges, lawyers, court officials, and security personnel. The list of potential suspects was very long, and any one of them could have been providing information to alien intelligence services. Rex had uncovered a conspiracy that went far deeper than anyone had imagined. Captain Lisa Brooks moved her investigation team to a secure facility outside the city, where they could work without fear of Zephyrian surveillance. The new location was a military research base that had advanced shielding technology designed to block alien detection methods. Rex seemed more relaxed once they arrived, and his cybernetic sensors stopped showing alerts. Lisa had expanded the investigation team to include specialists from other colony worlds. Commander Steve Parker arrived from the Mars Security Division with expertise in alien infiltration techniques. Dr. Linda Hayes came from the Europa Research Station, where she had studied Zephyrian behavior patterns for over 10 years. Colonel Mike Foster brought a team of military intelligence analysts who specialized in uncovering conspiracy networks. "The situation is worse than we initially thought," Lisa announced to the expanded team during their first briefing. "Our analysis of the courthouse devices has revealed that similar communication networks exist on at least 12 other human colony worlds. This is not an isolated incident, but part of a coordinated intelligence operation spanning multiple star systems." Commander Parker presented his findings from the Mars investigation. "We discovered 3 compromised judges on Mars and evidence that Zephyrian agents have been influencing legal decisions there for over a year. The pattern is identical to what you found on New Terra. Respected judges with impeccable reputations are being used to undermine human legal interests while appearing to support them." Dr. Hayes had been analyzing the communication patterns from all the discovered devices. "The Zephyrians are using a sophisticated strategy. Instead of trying to defeat human expansion through military action, they are corrupting our legal systems from within. They are making it impossible for humans to establish secure territorial claims by creating legal vulnerabilities that can be exploited later." Jake was amazed by the scope of the conspiracy. "How many human officials do you think are involved in this operation?" he asked Dr. Hayes. "Based on the communication frequency and the number of active device networks, we estimate that at least 30 high-ranking legal officials across multiple colonies are either willing collaborators or are being coerced into cooperation." "Dr." Hayes replied. Colonel Foster had been working with his intelligence team to map the entire network. "The most disturbing aspect is the level of coordination involved. The Zephyrians are not just gathering information randomly. They are specifically targeting legal cases that involve resource-rich territories, strategic shipping routes, and planets suitable for large-scale colonization." Rex had been resting near Jake's chair but suddenly became alert. His cybernetic sensors began blinking slowly, and he stood up to investigate something that only he could detect. Jake immediately paid attention to his partner's warning signals. "Captain Rex is picking up something again," Jake announced. "But the signals are different this time, less intense than what we saw at the courthouse." Dr. Hayes was interested in Rex's unique detection capabilities. "Officer Morrison, would it be possible for me to study Rex's cybernetic systems? His ability to detect Zephyrian presence could be crucial for identifying compromised individuals in our own ranks." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked with concern. "If Judge Carter has been in regular contact with Zephyrian agents for months, she would carry biochemical traces that Rex might be able to detect. We could use his abilities to test other courthouse personnel and see who else might be involved," Dr. Hayes explained. Jake looked down at Rex, who was now sitting calmly, but keeping his ears pointed toward the main entrance of the facility. He has been trained to work with different people, but this would be a completely new type of mission for him. Commander Parker had been reviewing the evidence files and made a disturbing discovery. "Captain, I think we need to consider the possibility that the corruption goes beyond just judges. The legal decisions that have been compromised required support from court clerk, security personnel, and administrative staff. This conspiracy might involve dozens of people at each location." Colonel Foster agreed with that assessment. "Intelligence? Operations of this complexity typically require multiple assets at different levels of the target organization. The Zephyrians would need people who could arrange meetings, provide security, and help cover up the evidence of their activities." Lisa was beginning to understand the true challenge they faced. "So we are not just looking for one compromised judge on New Terra. We might be dealing with an entire network of human collaborators who have been working with alien intelligence services for months or years." Dr. Hayes had been developing a plan to use Rex's abilities more systematically. "If we can create a testing protocol using Rex's cybernetic sensors, we might be able to screen courthouse personnel quickly and identify anyone who has been in recent contact with Zephyrian agents. How would that work? Jake asked. Rex would need to be in close proximity to each person for a few minutes while his sensors analyze their biochemical signature. If they have been exposed to Zephyrian pheromones or other alien biochemical markers, Rex should be able to detect them, Dr. Sao, Hayes explained. Tony Garcia had been working on the technical aspects of the investigation and had made an important breakthrough. Captain, I have been able to decode more of the transmitted data from the courthouse devices. The communications included specific instructions about which legal precedents to cite and which arguments to avoid in upcoming territorial dispute cases. That proves that Judge Carter was receiving detailed guidance about how to rule on specific cases, Lisa concluded. She was not just providing information to the Zephyrians. She was taking direct orders from them about how to manipulate human legal proceedings. Commander Parker raised another serious concern. If the Zephyrians have been planning this operation for years, they must have contingency plans for when their networks are discovered. We should expect them to take aggressive action to protect their remaining assets and eliminate evidence of their activities. Colonel Foster had been thinking about the military implications. The intelligence gathered through this operation could give the Zephyrians significant advantages if they decide to move from legal manipulation to direct territorial challenges. They would know exactly which human claims are most vulnerable and which legal strategies would be most effective against us. Jake was worried about Rex's safety as their investigation expanded. If the Zephyrians know that Rex can detect their presence, they might try to eliminate him to protect their remaining operations. Lisa had been considering the same risk. We need to provide enhanced security for both you and Rex, Officer Morrison. Your partnership has become essential to uncovering the full extent of this conspiracy. We cannot afford to lose either of you at this point. Dr. Hayes had completed her analysis of Rex's detection capabilities and was excited about the possibilities. Officer Morrison, Rex's cybernetic systems are more sophisticated than I initially realized. With some minor modifications, we might be able to enhance his range and sensitivity even further. He could become our most effective tool for identifying compromised individuals. Rex seemed to understand that he was the subject of discussion and moved closer to Jake. The bond between the officer and his cybernetically enhanced partner had become crucial to protecting human interests across multiple colony worlds. What had started as a routine patrol had uncovered a conspiracy that threatened the foundation of human expansion into space. Lisa made the decision to move forward with an expanded investigation using Rex's unique abilities. We are going to return to New Terra and begin systematic testing of courthouse personnel, but we will do it carefully and with full security support. The Zephyrians have shown they are willing to operate directly on human colony worlds, so we must assume they will try to stop us from exposing their remaining assets. Captain Lisa Brooks assembled her investigation team in a secure conference room at police headquarters the next morning. The courthouse had been sealed overnight while additional scanning teams searched every room for more hidden devices. They had found 3 more communication devices in different locations throughout the building. Tony Garcia had worked through the night analyzing the signal patterns from all the devices. His findings were disturbing. Captain, these devices have been active for at least 6 months. The data transmission logs show regular communication, sessions happening during normal courthouse hours, usually between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Dr. Amy Foster had completed her biochemical analysis of all the device locations. The Zephyrian signature patterns indicate that the same individual alien has been present at multiple device sites. We are dealing with one primary Zephyrian contact who has been accessing these communication points regularly. Jake sat with Rex at his feet while listening to the reports. The dog's cybernetic implants had been invaluable in locating the additional devices, but now they needed human detective work to identify the collaborators. Rex seemed to understand the serious nature of the situation and remained alert and focused. What about the security footage? Lisa asked Sam Rodriguez, who had been reviewing months of courthouse surveillance recordings. That is where things get interesting, Captain. I found several instances of unusual activity in Courtroom 7 during times when no official proceedings were scheduled. The footage shows Judge Helen Carter entering the courtroom alone on multiple occasions that matched the communication timeline. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. Judge Carter was one of the most respected legal officials in the colony. She had been instrumental in establishing the legal framework that protected human territorial rights on New Terra. If she was collaborating with Zephyrians, the implications were staggering. "Are you certain it was Judge Carter?" Lisa asked while reviewing the footage timestamps that Sam had identified. "Positive identification, Captain. The recordings show her entering Courtroom 7 using her security access and remaining inside for periods ranging from 30 minutes to 2 hours. These visits always occurred during the time frames when the communication devices were most active," Sam confirmed. Dr. Foster pulled up her biochemical timeline on the main display screen. "If we overlay Judge Carter's unauthorized courtroom visits with the Zephyrian presence indicators, the correlation is nearly perfect. Every time she was in the courtroom alone, the alien biochemical signatures spiked dramatically." Tony added his technical analysis to the evidence. The communication devices were definitely being used during those time periods. The signal strength and transmission duration matched perfectly with Judge Carter's presence in the building. Jake was having trouble accepting what the evidence was telling them. Judge Carter has overseen some of the most important legal decisions affecting human colony expansion. She ruled in favor of human interests in every major territorial dispute case. Why would she be working with aliens who want to limit our expansion? Lisa had been thinking about the same question. Maybe that is exactly the point, Officer Morrison. If Zephyrians wanted to monitor and influence human legal decisions, they would need someone in a position of real authority. Judge Carter's reputation for supporting human interests would make her the perfect cover for an intelligence operation. Dr. Foster brought up another disturbing possibility. We also need to consider that Judge Carter might not be working with the Zephyrians voluntarily. Alien species often use coercion, blackmail, or mind control techniques that are beyond human understanding. She could be a victim rather than a willing collaborator. Either way, we need to investigate her activities more thoroughly, Lisa decided. "Sam, I want you to review every case that Judge Carter has presided over in the past 6 months. Look for any decisions that might have benefited Zephyrian interest even indirectly. Tony, I need you to analyze the specific information that was transmitted through those devices." "Captain, there is something else," Tony said hesitantly. "I was able to partially decode some of the transmitted data. The communications included detailed information about upcoming legal cases involving territorial disputes, mining rights, and trade agreements. Someone was providing the Zephyrians with advanced knowledge of human legal strategies." Jake realized the full scope of what they had uncovered. If the Zephyrians knew our legal arguments in advance, they could prepare counter-strategies that would be almost impossible to defeat. They would always be one step ahead of human negotiators. That could explain some of the recent setbacks in territorial negotiations, Lisa said grimly. Several cases that should have been easy victories for human interests ended up being much more complicated than expected. If the Zephyrians had inside information, they could have prepared responses that undermined our legal positions. Dr. Foster was studying the biochemical evidence more carefully. "There is something else we need to consider. The Zephyrian signatures show that the alien contact was present for extended periods during these meetings. This was not just someone dropping off information and leaving. These were substantial communication sessions. What does that tell us about the nature of the collaboration?" Lisa asked. "It suggests that Judge Carter was receiving detailed instructions or guidance from the Zephyrian contact. The meetings were long enough for complex information exchange in both directions," Dr. Foster explained. Sam had been reviewing Judge Carter's case history and found several disturbing patterns. "Captain, I found something significant. In 3 major territorial dispute cases from the past 4 months, Judge Carter made rulings that initially favored human interests, but included specific legal language that created loopholes. Those loopholes are now being exploited by Zephyrian legal representatives to challenge the original decisions. So she was sabotaging human interests while appearing to support them," Jake said with growing anger. "She was making it look like she was protecting human rights while actually giving the Zephyrians tools to undermine those same rights later." Lisa was already planning their next moves. "We need to place Judge Carter under immediate surveillance without alerting her to our investigation. If she is still in contact with Zephyrian agents, we might be able to catch them in the act and gather additional evidence." "What about the other judges and court officials?" Tony asked. "Should we assume that Judge Carter was working alone, or might there be additional collaborators?" Dr. Foster reviewed her biochemical data again. The alien signature patterns are consistent with one primary Zephyrian contact, but that does not rule out multiple human collaborators. We should expand our investigation to include anyone who had regular access to the courthouse during the communication timeframes. Rex suddenly stood up and walked to the conference room window. His cybernetic sensors began blinking rapidly as he stared out at the parking lot. Jake immediately went to see what had caught the dog's attention. "Captain, we might have a problem," Jake announced. "Rex is detecting something outside the building. His sensors are showing the same type of activity that led us to the courthouse devices." Lisa quickly moved to the window and looked out at the parking lot. She saw several normal-looking vehicles and pedestrians, but nothing that appeared threatening. However, she had learned to trust Rex's enhanced capabilities completely. "Everyone away from the windows immediately," Lisa ordered. "If Rex is detecting Zephyrian presence, we need to assume we are under surveillance right now." Dr. Foster began setting up her portable biochemical scanner to check for alien signatures around the building. "If they followed us here, they might be trying to determine how much we have learned about their operation." Tony started scanning for electronic surveillance devices that might have been placed near the police headquarters.
"Captain, I am picking up some unusual signals from the parking area."
"We definitely have uninvited guests monitoring our activities." Lisa realized that their investigation had moved into a much more dangerous phase. The Zephyrians knew their communication system had been discovered, and they were taking active steps to monitor the human response. Judge Carter and her alien contacts were not going to give up their operation without a fight. The three Zephyrian figures activated their personal defense systems and began moving with incredible speed around the courtroom. Their environmental suits seemed to enhance their natural abilities, allowing them to jump higher and move faster than any human could follow. Lisa's security team struggled to track targets that could change position almost instantly. Rex proved to be invaluable during the confrontation. His cybernetic sensors could track the aliens even when they moved too quickly for human eyes to follow. The dog positioned himself protectively in front of Judge Carter while providing Jake with real-time information about alien movements through his sensor alerts. Rex is tracking two aliens moving toward the back exit and one heading for the main doors. Jake called out to the security team. They are trying to split up and escape in different directions. The Zephyrian near the main door suddenly became visible as its cloaking system failed. The alien was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Its environmental suit was damaged and sparking from the security team's electromagnetic weapons. Colonel Foster's men immediately surrounded this alien and forced it to surrender. The other two Zephyrians reached the back of the courtroom and activated some type of emergency transport device. A shimmering portal opened in the air and they began moving toward it to escape. Tony Garcia was desperately trying to jam their technology, but the alien systems were operating on frequencies that human equipment could not effectively disrupt. Rex suddenly broke away from his protective position and charged toward the escaping aliens. His cybernetic implants were glowing so brightly that they looked like small blue flames under his dark fur. The dog seemed to understand that these aliens could not be allowed to escape with their information about human security weaknesses. Jake ran after his partner while calling commands to try to control Rex's approach. The dog was trained for many situations, but confronting advanced alien technology was beyond his normal mission parameters. Jake was worried that Rex might be injured by alien defensive systems that were designed to stop much larger threats. One of the escaping Zephyrians turned toward Rex and activated what appeared to be some type of energy weapon. A beam of purple light shot toward the charging dog, but Rex's cybernetic systems automatically adjusted his movement to avoid the attack. The enhanced reflexes built into his implants allowed him to dodge at the last possible moment. Rex reached the first alien just as it was stepping toward the transport portal. The dog's training took over and he grabbed the alien's leg with his teeth, while his cybernetic systems analyzed the best way to disable the escape attempt. The alien struggled to break free, but Rex's enhanced strength was much greater than a normal dog's capabilities. Dr. Hayes was monitoring Rex's performance from her mobile scanner and was amazed by what she observed. Captain Rex's cybernetic systems are adapting to the alien technology in real time. His implants are learning how to counter Zephyrian defensive measures automatically. The second alien tried to help its partner escape by using its energy weapon against Rex. Jake threw himself between the alien and his dog while drawing his own weapon. The purple energy beam struck Jake in the shoulder and sent him spinning across the courtroom floor. Rex immediately released the first alien and rushed to defend his wounded partner. Lisa's security team finally got clear shots at both aliens and used electromagnetic pulse weapons to disable their equipment. The transport portal flickered and collapsed while the aliens' environmental suits stopped functioning properly. Without their technological advantages, the Zephyrians were much easier for human security forces to handle. Colonel Foster's men secured all 3 alien prisoners while Dr. Hayes began emergency medical treatment for Jake's energy weapon injury. Judge Carter was still disoriented from whatever procedure the aliens had been performing on her, but she appeared to be physically unharmed. Rex positioned himself next to Jake and refused to move while Dr. Hayes worked on the injured officer. The dog's cybernetic sensors were monitoring Jake's vital signs and providing medical data to help guide the treatment. The bond between the partners had proven stronger than the advanced alien technology they faced. Officer Morrison is stable, but he needs immediate transport to a medical facility, Dr. Hayes announced. The alien energy weapon caused significant tissue damage, but it should heal completely with proper treatment. Jake was conscious but weak as the medical team prepared to transport him. He looked down at Rex, who was still monitoring his condition with obvious concern. "Good boy, Rex. You did exactly what you were supposed to do." Lisa was coordinating the aftermath of the confrontation while trying to understand everything they had learned. "Dr. Hayes, what can you tell me about what the aliens were doing to Judge Carter?" "Based on my preliminary scans, it appears they were using some type of memory manipulation technology. They could access her memories about specific legal cases and also implant false information or instructions directly into her mind," Dr. Hayes explained. "So she was not a willing collaborator?" Lisa asked. "Definitely not, Captain. Judge Carter was a victim of advanced alien mind control technology. She probably had no conscious memory of her meetings with the Zephyrians or the information she provided to them. The aliens were using her as an unwilling asset while allowing her to maintain her normal personality and behavior patterns, Colonel." Foster was interrogating the captured aliens through a translation device that his team had brought. "Captain, they are claiming that this operation was authorized by the Zephyrian High Council as a legitimate intelligence-gathering mission. They seem to believe they have the right to monitor human legal activities in disputed territories." Tony Garcia had been analyzing the alien communication devices and made an important discovery. "Captain, the technology we captured includes detailed records of their entire intelligence operation. We now have evidence of every human they contacted, every legal case they monitored, and every piece of information they transmitted." Back to Zephyrian space, Lisa realized they had uncovered much more than just a local conspiracy. This evidence could be used to identify compromised individuals on other colony worlds and help other human governments protect themselves from similar infiltration attempts. Rex had remained focused on Jake throughout the medical treatment, but now he was beginning to show interest in the captured alien technology. His cybernetic sensors were analyzing the devices and learning how to detect similar equipment in the future. The dog's capabilities had been enhanced by exposure to actual alien technology rather than just theoretical training. Dr. Hayes was impressed by Rex's adaptability. "Officer Morrison, when Jake recovers, I would like to work with both of you to develop new training protocols based on what Rex learned during this confrontation. His ability to adapt to alien technology in real time could be invaluable for other security teams." Judge Carter was beginning to recover her normal mental clarity as the effects of the alien mind control technology wore off. "Captain Brooks, I remember some things now. The aliens showed me legal documents and told me that certain rulings would help prevent conflicts between humans and Zephyrians. I thought I was helping to maintain peace." "Judge Carter, you were not responsible for your actions while under alien influence," Lisa assured her. "The important thing now is that we have stopped their operation and captured evidence that will help protect other human colonies from similar infiltration attempts." Colonel Foster had completed his initial interrogation of the alien prisoners. "Captain, the Zephyrians claim they have the right to monitor human expansion under some type of interstellar treaty that we are not aware of. They believe humans are violating agreements made by previous Earth governments before the colonial expansion began." Lisa knew this information would need to be passed up to the highest levels of colonial government. The implications went far beyond local security issues and could affect humanity's entire relationship with alien civilizations in this sector of space. Rex and Jake had uncovered a conspiracy that would change how humans understood their place in the galaxy. 3 months after the confrontation in the courthouse, Jake Morrison had recovered completely from his injuries and returned to active duty with Rex. The investigation had expanded across 12 colony worlds and resulted in the exposure of a massive Zephyrian intelligence network that had been operating for over 2 years. 37 human officials had been identified as victims of alien mind control technology and were receiving treatment to restore their normal mental functions. The evidence captured from the alien devices had been shared with all human colonial governments and led to the development of new security protocols designed to detect alien infiltration attempts. Rex's cybernetic enhancement program had become the standard for law enforcement agencies across human space, as other colonies rushed to acquire similar detection capabilities. Jake stood in the main assembly hall of the new Terra Colonial Government building, with Rex at his side. Governor Patricia Wells was preparing to present them with the Colonial Medal of Honor, which was the highest civilian award that could be given to security personnel. The ceremony was being broadcast live to all human colonies as an example of the dedication and skill that protected human interests throughout the galaxy. Officer Jake Morrison and his partner Rex have demonstrated extraordinary courage and capability in uncovering and stopping an alien intelligence operation that threatened the foundation of human colonial expansion, Governor Wells announced to the assembled crowd. Their actions have protected not just New Terra, but dozens of other human worlds from infiltration and manipulation by hostile alien forces. Rex sat perfectly still during the formal presentation, but his cybernetic sensors were actively monitoring the crowd for any signs of unusual activity. Even during ceremonial events, the dog remained focused on his security responsibilities. The enhanced training protocols developed from his encounter with Zephyrian technology had made him even more effective at detecting potential threats. Captain Lisa Brooks had been promoted to Director of Colonial Security and was now responsible for coordinating anti-infiltration efforts across multiple star systems. She stood with the other officials during the ceremony and felt proud of the team that had accomplished so much in such a short time. The investigation had grown far beyond what any of them had expected when Rex first detected unusual activity in the courthouse. Dr. Amy Foster had been appointed as the lead researcher for a new Colonial Defense Institute that focused on understanding and countering alien technology. Her work with Rex's cybernetic systems had led to breakthroughs in biochemical detection methods that were being implemented throughout human space. The partnership between human science and enhanced animal capabilities had proven to be one of humanity's most effective tools for maintaining independence. Tony Garcia had become the chief technical analyst for alien technology and was working with teams on multiple worlds to develop countermeasures against Zephyrian infiltration devices. The crystalline communication systems captured during the BAO investigation had provided valuable insights into alien engineering methods that helped human scientists understand how to detect and disable similar technology. Judge Helen Carter had made a complete recovery from the alien mind control procedures and had returned to her position on the colonial court. She had become an advocate for improved security measures in legal institutions and worked closely with law enforcement to ensure that courthouses throughout human space were protected from future infiltration attempts. Her experience as a victim of alien manipulation had given her unique insights into how such operations could be prevented. Colonel Mike Foster had been assigned to lead a new military unit specifically designed to counter alien intelligence operations. His team included specially trained K-9 units based on Rex's cybernetic enhancement model and was responsible for investigating suspected infiltration activities on frontier worlds where alien contact was most likely to occur. The captured Zephyrian prisoners had been exchanged for human diplomats who had been detained by the Zephyrian Empire on charges of violating territorial agreements. The prisoner exchange had led to formal negotiations between human and Zephyrian governments that resulted in new treaties, clearly defining the boundaries between human and alien-controlled space. Rex received a specially designed medal that attached to his cybernetic implant harness and included advanced sensors that would help him detect even more sophisticated alien infiltration attempts in the future. The dog seemed to understand the significance of the ceremony and maintained perfect military bearing throughout the presentation. After the formal ceremony, Jake and Rex were approached by Commander Steve Parker, who had traveled from Mars to attend the event. "Officer Morrison, I have been authorized to offer you and Rex positions with the new Intercolonial Security Division. We are establishing teams on frontier worlds where alien contact is most likely, and we need experienced personnel who understand how to counter advanced infiltration techniques." Jake looked down at Rex, who was watching the conversation with obvious interest. The dog's cybernetic implants had made him one of the most valuable security assets in human space, and Jake knew there would be many opportunities for them to serve in important positions. "What kind of missions would we be assigned to, Commander?" "Primarily prevention and detection work on worlds where we have intelligence suggesting possible alien infiltration attempts. Your partnership with Rex has proven that enhanced K9 units are our most effective tool for identifying threats that conventional technology cannot detect," Commander Parker explained. Jake was interested in the opportunity, but wanted to make sure Rex was ready for more challenging assignments. Rex has adapted well to working with alien technology, but frontier assignments would involve much more dangerous situations than courthouse security. Dr. Foster had been listening to the conversation and offered her professional opinion. "Officer Morrison, Rex's cybernetic systems have evolved significantly since the courthouse investigation. His ability to adapt to new types of alien technology is remarkable and would be invaluable for frontier security work." Rex seemed to sense that important decisions were being made about his future and moved closer to Jake. The bond between the partners had been strengthened by their shared experience with the Zephyrian infiltration, and they both understood that their work together was far from finished. "Commander Parker, Rex and I accept the assignment to the Intercolonial Security Division," Jake announced. "We are ready to help protect human colonies wherever we are needed most." Governor Wells concluded the ceremony by announcing that the new Terra Courthouse would be renamed the Morrison Carter Justice Center, in honor of both Jake's discovery of the alien infiltration and Judge Carter's recovery from alien mind control. The building would also house a new training facility for enhanced K9 units that would be used throughout human space. Rex's unique combination of natural dog instincts and advanced cybernetic technology had proven that humans could successfully compete with alien intelligence operations by enhancing their natural capabilities, rather than simply relying on technology alone. The partnership between human and enhanced animal had become a symbol of humanity's determination to maintain independence and security in a galaxy full of advanced alien civilizations. As Jake and Rex left the ceremony to begin their new assignment, with the Intercolonial Security Division, they carried with them the knowledge that their work together had changed how humans understood their place in the galaxy. What had started as a routine patrol had uncovered a conspiracy that threatened human expansion and led to new alliances that would protect colonial interests for generations to come. The investigation that began when Rex detected unusual activity in an empty courthouse had proven that humanity's greatest strength was not advanced technology or military power, but the bonds of trust and cooperation that allowed different species to work together toward common goals. Rex had shown that enhanced animals could be equal partners with humans in protecting the future of human civilization among the stars.